Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday Best Bets show. I am your host, G-Stack George. I'm joined on Tuesdays by Christopher Dierkes, Mr. Flup, who's also the reason we're late today. He told us I need 5 more minutes for a nap, if you don't mind. Flup, welcome for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having.
And Judah, welcome back to the Tuesday Best Bet show. Austin filled in admirably last week. And Judah, surely you can confirm that Flup is the reason we're late today, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, not a question. And Austin really did me a solid here, bringing my record to 6-3. Really appreciate it.
All right. Speaking of records, let's take a look at all the records. And everybody in the chat, we are so happy to have you. Remember, this is an interactive show. Any news, comments, thoughts, or bets that you like, fire away in the comments. We'd love to see it. But let's not bury the lead. We had a really good week last week, although Austin is taking his 3-0 to the Thursday show. Both Flup and I lost our triple hammers, won our double hammers. Flup, your double hammers are undefeated this year. You need to turn your double hammer into your triple hammer somehow. And I need to turn my single hammer, which is 3-0, into my triple hammer, bringing our record up to, on the season as a show, 12-9. We will miss Austin's 3 plays, and I have full confidence Judah would have given us 3 winners as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Man, it feels like every week has a theme of what you're watching for this week, and the theme of this week is like injury reports and trying to react to lines that are moving quite away. I know the one of the biggest moves is the Thursday. The 49ers are at the LA Rams, and it opened 3.5, and right now at FanDuel it's 5.5 minus 120. Most of the rest of the market is 6.5. Total right now is 46.5 minus 120 to the over. Flup, let's start with you. Market moved big time. We're anticipating the Purdy, Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings news. It doesn't look like any of them are practicing. You think there's still some room for this market to move once they're announced out?
Oh, absolutely. This is just classic top-down better. This is my favorite kind of bets here. This just goes straight one way. There's no resistance. I'm seeing there's no Rams money anywhere to be found. Once these are official, I can't even count how many injuries are official. I'm not even going to pretend like I know them all, but I just know that this is potential to even get up to 7, maybe even past 7 if we get more injuries. I'm getting the best number available. This is pretty good to even a book like Penny. I'm happy to take Rams minus 5.5, minus 120. I don't mind that it's a stale line. I have no shame in admitting that's the main reason why this is my bet. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some expert and know like the scheme matchups between these two teams. I just know that the 49ers are badly injured. Purdy might not play. Bosa might not play. I'm hearing Pearsall might not play. I mean, is Trent Williams going to play? I mean, it's insane how many injuries are there. The whole team is injured. Rams have Stafford. They look good. They got a fluky win versus the Colts, but they look still very solid.
Flup, if Nick Bosa manages to reattach his leg and comes back this year, especially on Thursday, I will be impressed. I am 100% certain Nick Bosa is not going to play.
Sure. I read doubtful somewhere, and I was like,
the receivers and the quarterback. Okay, Judah, in a game like this, where do you even begin to look at this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think injuries are everything, and obviously the game plans change, I think, depending on the injuries. But I think kind of Flup nailed this, which is like there's room to grow here with everything that's happening. I mean, I got some Rams earlier in the week, but yeah, there's not even a matchup angle to look at right now with so much uncertainty surrounding who's playing, because I imagine the play styles are going to change pretty drastically depending on who is or is not available.
Yeah, I know Judah got some Rams in pocket. Flup likes Rams at minus 5.5, minus 120. That's his double hammer. If you got a piece of the Rams this week, drop it in your comment what number you got it at, or maybe if you're waiting to take the 49ers once it moves all the way out, let me know if that's your plan as well. Let's move over to London for another Sunday morning game. I kind of like these Sunday morning games. Minnesota is playing against Cleveland. Minnesota's already there as they played in Dublin last week. Cleveland getting into town right now at FanDuel. It's -3.5, -115 for Minnesota. The total is at 35.5, shaded 115 to the over. Let's start with you, Judah. To me, the matchup that sticks out like a sore thumb right now is Vikings O-line versus the Browns D-line. What are you kind of honing in here?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed that. I think they're going up against one of the better defensive lines in football with a very hurt offensive line and a quarterback that is particularly sensitive to pressure. I mean, we saw this last week in obvious passing situations. Carson Wentz effectively had it was just taking sacks, and it's one thing to have a quarterback who can avoid sacks, get rid of the ball quick, but with a guy like Wentz, he's holding onto the ball already for too long. So add on offensive line injuries, and you've got a major problem here. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that much better on the other side of the ball, at least not in terms of injuries, but you've got a fourth-round rookie quarterback coming into a pretty bad offensive situation against the defense that leads the NFL and EPA right now. It's obviously not the be-all, end-all metric, but I think captures kind of how good this defense is. And you've got Brian Flores, notoriously a guy you can put rookie quarterbacks in vendors. So this just feels like a really ugly, gross game, and there's a reason the total is so low.
It's kind of odd to me that you would choose an overseas game against Cleveland against Minnesota and Brian Flores' defense, where he likes to really mess with, rookie quarterbacks and send the house. It feels like such an odd first start for Dillon Gabriel. I don't know what Cleveland is thinking there.
That's a good point. I mean, Shedeur probably must be happy. He doesn't have to face Flores in that disgusting defense. Like, I don't want that to be my opening game to the NFL.
Is that what they're doing, Flup? They're trying to sabotage Gabriel, so Shedeur has to be the savior next week.
I'll start that conspiracy now. But I'm curious for both of you. One, how much of a downgrade do we think Gabriel is to Flacco? And two, if he is at all, I think I would say he is, but I'm not 100%, of course. And then two, how much is Vikings already being there, the travel worth to the spread here?
I have heard people say it's worth half a point to a point, sticking around there. I don't know. The market didn't seem to react to the Dillon Gabriel news. I'm not 100. I mean, it was a national reporter reporting it. I don't think I saw a beat writer report it. And if I'm wrong, please drop it in the comments. I don't know. I think this is a really, really bad spot for Dillon Gabriel. And I do think he's a downgrade from Joe Flacco. I guess it's going to be the Quinshon Judkins show, but I don't know. I don't even know where to begin to price this game. If I saw Minnesota 3, I'd be very interested, but at 3.5 right now, I don't have any interest. Judah, do you have any interest?
No, not much. I mean, it is a little weird to me that the market didn't move. I would have anticipated some movement there. I think the pricing home field advantage is an interesting question, both because I think general consensus is that most of home field advantage is rest. And obviously have an advantage there, but also like this is a unique situation in terms of like not you almost have it on the highest lever because it's not just rest, but there's a lot of kind of time and being adjusted to the time zones where it's like when the Browns actually fly in is like a relevant data point to understanding home field advantage. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that the market didn't move a bit on the Flacco Gabriel news.
Yeah, you know what? This feels like a Judah specialty where there's a lot of variables and there's some opportunities maybe in some same game parlays. And just a reminder, the NFL's back. And if you're betting on FanDuel this season, here's some things to keep in mind. Celebrate your wins, whether your same game parlay has 2 legs or 10 legs. Always use your legs to celebrate appropriately. No kickoff, no problem. Live betting means the next play could be your play. And if you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. And now you're ready to play your game on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to download the app today and get started. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. I see a lot of comments in the chat asking about like Baltimore and win totals. I promise you when we get to that game, I will remember to bring it up, but let's move on to the next game.
I want to ask real quick, Judah, I'm surprised you don't have like a Minnesota alt line. This just screams Minnesota alt line for you. I mean, I know the great Steve Fezzik would probably disagree with you, of course, because those are unbeatable, but what was the reason for not having a Minnesota alt line?
I think you also need to score points in order to cover with margin in the NFL, and I don't have a ton of faith that Minnesota is going to be able to do that against Cleveland.
All right, fair enough.
Carson Wentz has already ruined last week's Sunday morning for Judah. He doesn't want to let Carson Wentz do it to him twice before the 1 o'clock games. Let's move on to a game where I think there might be an opportunity for an alt. Dallas at the New York Jets. Dallas right now is -2.5, -115 at FanDuel. Total right now is 47.5. Juiced -118 to the under. Judah, let's start with you in this game. You see something that you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to a question of what a team should do versus what a team will actually do. And I think the Jets with Justin Fields have certainly enjoyed a lot of rushing success, but they've really insisted on running the ball at a crazy high rate, nearly 15% over expected. And this is a Dallas defense that I think has done a very good job against the run, and like they've been abysmal in pass defense. A little better last week, I guess, relatively speaking. But I don't think the Jets are going to be able to take advantage of the area where the Cowboys are weakest in their pass defense, not only because of Fields, but also I don't think they're going to throw the ball. And I don't think they're comfortable letting Fields drop back 32, 34 times to kind of take advantage of where the Cowboys are weak. And on the other side, I was kind of surprised by how well this Dallas team was able to move the ball against Green Bay in the past with CeeDee Lamb out. Granted, they didn't have a George Pickens. They really just, the offense kind of stymied. They weren't able to generate any separation or coverage mistakes, but that was not at all the case. And I think when you look at this run game, which has been one of the best from a success rate point of view, I think it allows kind of many options for this Cowboys offense to have success. And this is a Jets defense and a pass defense in particular that has truly been dreadful. You choose any metric, and they've been a disaster there. That I see this as a spot where Dallas can win with margin, especially if they get into a comfortable game state where they're putting up a lot of points. This is a team that's number 2 in series conversion rate. I think they'll have no trouble moving the ball in the Jets defense, and then Justin Fields in obvious passing situations. If they're going to get that, I think it's a recipe for sacks and a lot of negative plays that have kind of hampered him throughout his career. So this is a spot where I have some interest on the Dallas Alts, much to the chagrin of those who believe that it is impossible to beat extra margin for games that might have a little bit more variance and volatility.
That's an interesting handicap, as well as Michael Carter left the game, and there are doubts that he'll be ready to go. I think it was a concussion off a short week. That's usually a difficult squeeze, and it'll be quite interesting to see how Dallas moves the ball. Flop, any thoughts on this game? Do you think 2.5 sticks around, or do you think we're going to get 3s?
Any chance CeeDee comes back, or is he out for sure?
High ankle. It's like usually their best case scenario is 2 weeks, unless like some guys have been Superman before, but this
would be week 3, right? Am I mistaken?
No, this would be the second week.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought he missed already 2 weeks. Okay. No, he was out the first week. I was just thinking because I got screwed in my fantasy the week prior. Okay. If CeeDee doesn't have any chance of coming back, I find it hard to believe that this can get past 3. But I mean, who knows? I mean,
you think it gets to 3 though?
Probably not. I feel like there's going to be Jets back. I just feel like there's going to be Jets backers. I could totally see a situation where like you see a +3 -110 pop, and then someone just takes it immediately, and then it just stays in like 2.75.
Yeah, plays in that back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, let's not belabor the point. For me, I think the Jets are going to have to do a heavy dose of Fields and Hall to keep it close. But if Dallas gets out to an early lead, they have to completely like the Dolphins, and we'll get to it later, are like the worst defense at everything. And the Jets was moving through mud trying to move the ball down the field. And I know Dallas's defense is not great, so it's not like it's a huge step up. But if you struggle against Miami, I don't know how you struggle against Dallas, especially if you go down. So I think Judah's right about that volatility where if Dallas gets out to a lead, it really plays well for some alternates. Let's move on to a game, kind of a sleeper, really good game. Denver at Philly. Right now, Philly is -4.5, -104 at FanDuel. Total right now is 43.5, -115 to the over. Let's start off, Judah. What are your thoughts on the Eagles? We've seen 4 games of this team now, and they've literally had one half of a semblance of a passing attack when they absolutely needed it against the Rams. They keep winning ugly. It's so hard to put into words.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say they had a fine passing first half last week as well against Tampa Bay, but the point is well taken. I saw that they lead the NFL in 3-and-out rate, which is just absurd for a team that is 4-0. But I agree with your sentiment here that this is a team that is just finding ways to eke it out. I think it's like there's obviously going to be a lot of luck. I think there's maybe a little bit less luck for the Eagles than it would be any other team just because of how automatic they are, basically once you get into goal-to-goal situations. And they can just punch those in. But yeah, I think this is a team that is not winning in an inspired way. I think you got to assume that the ground game will get going at some point. You just should have such a strong prior, given the talent on the field. But this offensive line has not been as good as years past. Their perfect block rate is down nearly 10% from where they've been in the last kind of 2-3 years, where they're 66% most of those years. It's kind of a tough team because I think there's some reason for their success relative to kind of a league average team, but the data is not great. So yeah, I'm concerned about the Eagles offense, though it doesn't kind of speak to concerns on the other side because I'm not exactly trusting Bo Nix against what is still a very solid and good and aggressive Eagles defense.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this. I look at the one thing the Eagles don't do well right now, and it's not even on offense, is their 30th in defensive rush success rate. I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Bo Nix and RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins, just like Sean Payton is capable of doing. There's been a lot of scoring in the last 2 Eagles game, but kind of both games had a game script that kind of got away from it. Like the Rams built up a huge lead, forced Philly to just start chucking. Tampa got behind, forced Tampa Bay to start chucking. I actually like the under in this game, and it is my single hammer. Right now, 43.5 -105 at FanDuel is one of the better prices in market. That'll be my single hammer. I'm expecting a heavy run game with the clock moving and low scoring. Flup, how do you read this game? How do you read this market?
I'm very confused because last week they were Eagles are 3.5 at Tampa Bay, and now they're basically 3.5 home versus Broncos. I thought the Broncos and Tampa Bay were relatively similar strength of schedule. Bo Nix is not looking that hot, and I know the Bucs are kind of banged up, but I'm just shocked that the market thinks the Broncos are this good. I mean, maybe because it clearly to me isn't that the Eagles are that bad if they can be 3.5-point favorites versus a Bucs team that's been favored for some good teams. And so I don't know what to make of this. I'm very shocked to see that the Eagles keep keep getting bet or coming out way lower than I'm expecting. I would have guessed this line would have been like 6. But I mean, it shows what I know. I would guess that we see Eagles money, but it may just be that the Broncos defense is so good, and also Jalen Hurts looks like he can't throw the ball. That doesn't really matter.
I have downgraded Philly from start of season despite their 4-0 start. I still make the number bigger, but there's no way I'm getting there with Philly. I think I would need a 3 to bet it. Judah, do you have any thoughts? And like at 3, is it a bet for Philly? Do you think the market is way underpriced right now in Philly?
No, I think that's kind of like I outlined before. It's too tricky of a situation. I don't think they kind of fit the kind of randomly sampled or average team. I would have just massive uncertainty on kind of my power rating for them.
All right, let's move on to a game that moved like crazy, and we'll give FanDuel some credit. They were the first to open this thing Sunday night at 6.5. Then it Monday sat at 3.5, and today the market has flipped. Houston is now favored against Baltimore. Houston -1.5, -115. The total is 40.5, -115 to the under. The story of this game is just its injuries. Lamar Jackson is going to be out, and it could be 2 to 3 weeks. They may also be without Ronnie Stanley. They're missing 2 defensive linemen who are already on the IR. Roquan Smith's not expected to play. Marlon Humphrey not expected to play. They could be without Nate Wiggins, Kyle Van Noy, and Travis Jones. All right, let's start off with Judah. I actually want to just ask you, how does this Ravens defense match up against a Houston offense that has been struggling, and what are you expecting from Cooper Rush?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Woody Marks getting in there and taking some carries, I think is going to actually be a pretty important development for this Texans offense, which I think can get some punch in the run game. But yeah, with the injuries right now, I mean, like Roquan Smith's going to be out. It goes to the point of the Houston moving the ball, and they just don't have any pass rush right now. Their secondary is all hurt. I think this could be a spot where Houston gets their offense going, because at this state of the Broncos defense, this state of the Ravens defense, this is like one of the worst units in the NFL. And I think it's possible we finally kind of get some semblance of an explosive offense from Houston, though I'd like to kind of actually see it before I go ahead and bet that. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge. I mean, the entire defense is depleted. The offense too, like Ronnie Stanley being questionable, is huge against the edge players that the Texans have. It's so many injuries.
Yeah, Judah, I wrote 2 things. I wrote Woody Marks has juice. It's like a Houston offense that didn't have speed has all of a sudden a little bit of an explosive element. And I wrote, this could be Nico Collins. It could be the Nico Collins show, like one of those 15 targets, 11 balls, 100 yards. Flup, the market went crazy today. Was it right to move all the way to Houston favorite?
I mean, obviously, I think Houston should be favorite without assuming Lamar doesn't play. But I'm curious because it looks – I read the report as it's just like he's very, very likely not to play. Not that he's like 100%.
Who?
Lamar.
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
They said widely reported.
They said not confirmed out this week, right? I mean, is it not –
This is Flup. You know what, Flup? You were optimistic Nick Bosa could return this year, so
I
read doubtful somewhere when I like.
Flup, can I play your own card? Can I play your own card? Would this line be what it is if Lamar Jackson had some chance of playing?
Probably not. No, probably not. That's totally fair. And I see the comments roasting for injury. That is correct. I'm not trying to admit to come out here and say I'm this injury news expert. I know where I stand, but I tend to think in these spots I don't really consider this like moving. Like I don't consider this move like a market move. This is just like they're just reacting to news. Whereas like the earlier game with the Rams and the Niners, that was like there's not one key like piece. there's just like multiple pieces.
Well, the Ravens might be without 7 defensive starters.
No. Yeah, yes, but
their
yes.
quarterback.
Right. But 80% of this move is Lamar. Right. I mean, if Lamar is playing, is this under a touchdown favorite?
Yeah, of course. You think Lamar's sending it back to Baltimore 7 points? Are you crazy? If he won't even be effective when he's playing, that's the other thing. I want to, before I give out a play that I have in that game, we did get a comment earlier. What do y'all think about Ravens under 10.5 wins, -145? I mean, between that and the Steelers division, it feels like now's the time to fade the Steelers, the Ravens in futures market, Flup, or are you still cautious there?
I'm pulling up my numbers right now. Futures. I preferred Ravens to miss the playoffs to be honest with you, but under 10.5, I make -171. And that's assuming Lamar is out for 2 weeks. Which, of course, if he's out for 3 weeks, it's even better.
Yeah,
significantly better because we know how valuable Lamar is. But I've never been a fan of playing like laying odds on a future. It's not like I bet minus big.
You'd rather bet the tails like miss playoff stuff where there's
Right.
Okay.
When you have to lock up money for this long, I just don't like that.
I will not belabor it anymore. It's funny how the Ravens went from like should be a 6-point favorite against Detroit on Monday to last week still the best team clearly, to now we're all wondering if the Ravens are going to make the playoffs. That's life in the NFL, right? We spin the wheel and 2 weeks can change an entire thing. I like Houston -1.5. It is my double hammer at -115. Right now there are it looks like there's 2s and 2.5s across the market. FanDuel dealing a really good price if you like Houston. Feels like Houston's defense is going to really be able to shut down the Ravens offense, and it just feels like this is the Houston spot that they'll break out offensively, or at least have a good game. Let's move on to a game that if you're watching this game and you're not a fan of either team and don't have money, you are a true degenerate. Right now, New Orleans -1.5, -110 at home against the Giants. Total of 41.5, -115 to the under. Flup, market flipped. It's opened up as Giants favorites. Obviously, you have an opinion in this game. Let's lead off with you.
Again, I'm not going to pretend like I have a real opinion here. This is just another stale line. I'm not trying to hide who I am here. It's the best price in market. I like betting a ton of steam. I haven't seen any big news, and this is kind of the spots I like to bet, where there's maybe a bunch of cluster injuries that add up a little bit, or just general sentiment on a team, and that's what I see here with the Saints. Just steady movement. The Ravens, Houston win again. I didn't like that because to me there's a big move on just Lamar. So Saints -1.5, -110. I like it here. The Giants got a fluky win versus the Chargers. Saints, they looked actually like they had some amount of life versus Buffalo. I know they lost by 12, but they looked okay.
Judah, I actually want to ask you about pricing the Giants after losing Neighbors, and also was there an upgrade with Jackson Dart over Russell Wilson? Obviously, the headline is he won last week. What are you actually taking away from the Giants offense moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, this was a Giants offense. Talk about, when you asked me about San Francisco and kind of how they operate their offense, this is entirely different. This is a team that was one of the pass heaviest teams with Russell Wilson, and I anticipate they're going to be kind of at the Jets level right now of passing relative to rushing, and certainly if Neighbors is out. I think this is a team that's going to live and die by their rush success rate, and it's going to be a lot of Jackson Dart run plays and also the gravity that Jackson Dart kind of pulls for Scadaboo. I think this is an entirely different offense, and they're going to rely on kind of like bleeding the clock, allowing their defense. Like Abdul Carter really emerged last week. I mean, that pass rush win rate stat was going around. He had like a 92 PFF grade. I think that's kind of going to be the MO of the Giants, which in the past it was we're going to kind of let Russ throw a bunch of deep balls to neighbors. I mean, they worked in Wan'Dale Robinson into those as well, but I think it's a totally different style of play. And if anything, it kind of makes some of the totals markets very intriguing going forward, because I think we can really throw out virtually all of the kind of tendency data that we got from the Russell Wilson weeks.
Yeah, it feels like the Daboll might turn this into a bit of a gimmicky offense, which I'm going to be intrigued to see. It was pointed out in the chat, and the Saints, who have been battling O-line injuries, last week they finally went in healthy, and then they lose Cesar Ruiz in the game. Dylan Raduns, is the backup guard, has also been missing. So I'm curious how their O-line holds up against the D-line. You know what, though, before we get into the next game, I got to tell you, my favorite show is quickly becoming the Hammer Daily, every day at noon on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. Good appetizer to start your day. You can see the three of us on that show. Jason Cooper hosts it. It's always fun. Flup, you never know what you're going to get from Flup. He's got haircuts. He sleeps in. Flup, forget the analysis Flup gives you. The real edge is wondering how Flup, what kind of shape he's going to show up in. That's what I find intriguing. Honestly, though, if you haven't checked it out, please do. And before we continue, please smash the like button. Just anything you can do to help us in the algorithm. Drop a comment. Give us your thoughts. I don't like that Rob's on Thursday's best bets, they get a little bit more views than us. I'm a jealous person. I'd like to get our views up. I want it to be equal, especially given the fact that we have the better record on this show. So I think we deserve more attention. Let's move on right now to Las Vegas at Indianapolis. The Colts -6.5, -115 at FanDuel. Total is 47.5, shaded 118 to the over. Let's start off with you, Judah. You're seeing something of value in this matchup.
Yeah, I think this is a Colts offense that I think will continually prove that this, certainly while they're still at nearly full health, is going to be one of the best offenses in football. I mean, choose your efficiency metric. They're going to be at the very, very top there. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And I don't think this is a Raiders defense that's going to be able to kind of take them out of structure, which is so crucial to Daniel Jones's success. I mean, it hurts me as someone who is heavily levered on those Colts alts and AD Mitchell SGPs. That was a pretty brutal play, as was his hold. But I don't think that's the sort of thing that's sticky week to week. And now they have a Raiders defense that is, bottom 10 in virtually any metric. And on the flip side of the ball, the Raiders just cannot protect right now. And Geno Smith is the type of quarterback who really relies on staying out of pressure. And I don't think the Colts are kind of a team that's going to dominate a good offensive line, but they're certainly good enough. They're just about league average in basically any pressure category. They're pretty good in there. They play a pretty simple zone coverage, which generates plenty of perfect coverage. And I think they're not a matchup that is going to be easy for this Raiders offense to kind of run their way through. So this is a spot where I think the Colts can put up a ton of points. They continue on this terrific offensive run, and on the flip side of the ball, there's just not enough that the Raiders can do to kind of take advantage of what's really an average defense. And they've got so many problems in pass protection and with their secondary weapons. Trey Tucker's not catching some deep bombs. They basically have had no offense, or Ashton Genty breaking a big run, I guess, last week. There's really been nothing there.
Yeah, recreational player brings up a great point. He says, what team has a healthy offensive line? Well, not the Raiders. They're going to be without Colton Miller, who's the one really good offensive lineman. Pete Carroll's son is not running a great O-line in Las Vegas, and I wonder how long that lasts. The other thing, too, Judah, is I talk about the depth of the receivers that the Colts have. They kind of have 4 receivers that can beat you, including AD Mitchell. Tyler Warren's really good. And if the Raiders don't have Eric Stokes, they already had a very thin secondary. So I actually don't know how they deal with all the weapons. Flup, markets pushed to 7, but came back. Is that the breaking point, or do you think we're still going to see some more indie money later on as the week goes? Because if Kenny Moore is back for Indy, it feels like there's still going to be some indie money coming in.
Yeah, I think early in the week when you see some pushback, there's always a chance that it comes back. The pushback is obviously a tell that it might get to past 7. But I mean, like Penny right now has like Vegas at plus 7 minus 110 right now. So like if you really liked it, you could get a click there. And like I know there's some cheap, expensive 7s at like some other shops, and then like obviously an expensive 6.5 or a cheap 6.5 at FanDuel. So this, I don't think there's a real big pushback at 7 here, and that kind of leads me to believe that this will get to 7 and maybe even break it once we get to Saturday, if we get some injury news that breaks in the Colts' favor.
Yeah, Chosen says no way it closes under 7. I tend to agree. I was staring myself in the mirror here, and I said, "Is there a number that I could bet Vegas at? Would a 7.5 get me there? Would I need an 8?" Twice this year I've gone against my number and bet a game because I felt really good about the matchup. One was the Jets against Buffalo, when I still made Buffalo right at market, but I'm like, you know what? The Jets offense looked really good. I bought in there. And last week I said, oh, there's no way Dallas is going to move this ball with a banged up O-line against Green Bay. And Green Bay is going to score. And I went against my number twice and it didn't work out. I'm not going to be going against my number a third time. I've learned my lesson early on. Oh, do we have to talk about this game? Miami at Carolina. Right now, Miami's minus 1.5, minus 105 at FanDuel. Right now, total's at 44.5, shaded 115 to the under. Judah, Miami without Tyreek. Which offense do you trust more here against two really bad defenses?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the question that I don't really want to answer, and that's why I don't have a bet, because I don't really trust either of them. I think that, right, Carolina, in theory, should be able to move the ball because everyone's been moving the ball against this Miami defense, but they've also kind of hamstrung themselves in a lot of way, and they've been dealing with offensive line injuries throughout. Right, they lost 2 of their interior guys against Arizona, and then Miami without Tyreek Hill is just there's really no depth here. I mean, Malik Washington's a nice gadget player, relying on him to kind of be the secondary option, or I guess relying on Darren Waller or Devon Achane, who sure is good as a receiver, kind of from a PPR fantasy perspective, less so from stretching defenses. And I think you've just got kind of a lot of questions, and it's not a game that I really want to be betting. Though I do love amateur hours comments here that Tyreek Hill is questionable for a flop.
All right, I'm not that ridiculous. I saw his injury yesterday. There's no way he's coming back from it.
Flop, let's lean into it. What do you make this line if Tyreek Hill is able to
okay,
play?
The Nick Bosa was honestly a genuine thing. He's not. Is he on? He's not even on IR. Is he on IR? Like if he was truly like
Flop, he's already in Cancun. His season's over, my friend. I thought you look at futures market. Didn't you see the Nick Bosa market disappeared?
I'm a complete okay. That's my bad. I will own it. That was completely inexcusable there. I swear I read doubtful somewhere, and I was like, maybe he's coming back. Maybe I read the news or something like that. No, there's obviously no way Tyreek Hill's coming back. I'm not gonna do the in or out with Tyreek Hill because he's not coming back. But I mean, honestly, like Bryce Young is looking like he's just back to his old self of sucking hard, and I even though I think Mike McDaniels is going to get fired at the end of the year, he still runs a good offense, and I think he's going to be able to run up the score on the Panthers. And I think in these spots to pull a Judah, I think these is probably the best spots to play an alt line on the Dolphins here, because if like he's able to construct a good offensive game plan, and Bryce Young maybe throws a nice pick 6 or something like that, you could see them winning by like 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, I actually have a question for the chat. What percentage of confidence do you have that Bryce Young can still save his career out of 10? Because my question to you, Judah, is if you can't have success against a Miami defense that is bottom 2 in defensive EPA and last in defensive success rate, there's no hope for you, right? There's like, if you can't play well against this Miami team, there's no chance of this guy saving this season or his career.
Yeah, I mean, I never want to put too much stock in one game, and I agree with your sentiments. Like, things can get out of control, right? Like, if they return a punt for a touchdown and it's 14-0 off the bat, Miami's pass rush is improving somewhat. Granted, it was an extremely low point from which they're coming. Like, whatever, the point being that, like, one game can happen in any which way. But I do agree with the sentiment of, like, if Bryce Young does not turn around very quick, I think it's a pretty revealing that the aberration was the second half of last year and nothing else.
Yeah, we get it. We got a comment. Bryce beat the Falcons by 30. Very misleading score. Just a confluence of events in that game, and I would bet Atlanta again in the rematch. Let's move on to Tampa Bay and Seattle. Quite an intriguing game right now at FanDuel. Seattle is -3, -118. Total is 44.5, -115 to the over. Flup, the rest of the market seems to be at that 3.25, 3.5. Like, if you like Seattle, FanDuel is the place to bet them. They are best in market. Do you think Seattle's getting too much respect in the market here, or is it deserved?
It's a good question. I mean, I am a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think he's criminally underrated. I think he's clearly a top 10 quarterback, and probably closer at this point with how some of the other quarterbacks have played, namely probably closer to top 5 than top 10 for me at this point. And I really like them a lot. And I'm not a fan of Sam Darnold. Like, I know he's looking okay in Seattle right now, and I just can't believe him. Like, I'm just not a Sam Darnold believer. I saw too many years of him in New York. I'm not a fan. I think this is a bit overreactionary, so I do not want to be betting Seattle. It would be a box or pass for me.
Can I ask you a double-barreled question, Judah? Because right now I'm watching the injury report. Jamel Dean, Hassan Reddick are injuries to watch on defense, and Bucky Irving, apparently he's getting an MRI. We're not sure yet his status. 2 questions. If the Bucs run defense, which is really good, can take away the Seahawks run game, how do you think Sam Darnold might fare where he doesn't have that run game to rely on? And then on the other side, you know, the Bucs O-line still isn't healthy. It's healthier with Tristan Wirfs, but there's still big problems there. How do you think they hold up against a really good Seattle front?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the first part of my approach to this game was your question, which is like, assuming that Tampa Bay can hold them against the run. The pass rush has been terrific for Tampa Bay, which I think is kind of surprising given the talent that they have on the roster. But you know, how many years are we with Todd Bowles being a very blitz happy and blitz effective defensive coach? This is a team that is, you know, top 3 in any way you want to chart pressure and quick pressures. And this is a quarterback in Sam Darnold who's very, very sensitive to that. And certainly if you're going to stop the run and create worse passing situations for a quarterback like Darnold, that's going to matter a lot more to him than it would kind of your randomly sampled quarterback. So I do think that's kind of a central question to this game, is seeing how much Sam Darnold can stay in these positive game state situations. And on the other side of the ball, yeah, Baker Mayfield, I think surprisingly has done a great job with his pressure to sack rate through a couple of weeks. It's like way below his career averages. Do I think that's like kind of fluky? A little bit, yeah. And not having Bucky Irving again is just the same thing you just said. It's going to put you in a lot more of these situations where the Seattle defense can tee off. So I guess kind of the way I see this, and maybe this is a live angle more than anything, is I think this is like, because of the situations, like very, very game state dependent. And it's not one that I want to kind of be betting on pre-flop.
Yeah. I kind of tend to agree with you, Judah. There's more questions than answers for me, so I'm gonna be waiting on injuries, and I'm gonna wait on where the market settles. All right, this one's an interesting game.
Wait. Before we move on, I have to. Can we talk about putting Mike McDonald on absolute fraud watch for that abysmal timeout usage in the end game versus the Cardinals. That was horrific. And because he won, people forget about it. But I'm putting him on fraud watch. All right, sorry, we can move on.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate the
All right. Now that is out of the way, what's his current coach of the year market? I think he's doing pretty good in that market. All right. Tennessee, Arizona right now. Arizona's 8.5 minus 104 at FanDuel. Total is 41.5 minus 115 to the under. All right. Flup, let's start with you. Okay. A flood of money came in on Tennessee today and yesterday. It's clear. It's not something they saw in Tennessee that they liked, right? This is a fade of an inflated line with Arizona. I remember Clive and Rob were kind of humming and hawing on Sunday on who's going to show up and bet Tennessee. Well, apparently there was a few people that thought Tennessee was worth a bet.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this. This makes sense to me because last week we saw Seattle get bet heavily. I think it went from pick'em to like almost closing 2 at some spots in Seattle, and again. Someone out there does not like Arizona, and that's all it is. I don't think this is necessarily a liking Tennessee. I mean, what is there to like about Tennessee? But sometimes the number gets too big, and you've got to fade them.
Judah, before we get into the matchup of this game, I want to play a game with you. Okay, I've done this before. I call it the pie of blame. Okay, so I want you to divide. You're gonna based on these 4 metrics. Who deserves the most blame and what percentage, okay? Head coach, Brian Callahan, the O-line, Cam Ward, and the defense. I want to know where is the pie of blame right now in Tennessee going for you?
Pie of blame relative to their record?
Yes. Why it's been so bad this year?
I mean, all of the above. Obviously at least Callahan, the read on him is that he'd be able to kind of fix the O-line. He was this O-line whisperer. That seemingly is not the case. The blame for the O-line, I mean, they're hurt. They don't have talent. I'm not sure how to kind of credit that. I'm going to put less blame on Cam Ward just because this is a rookie quarterback in a horrible situation. And that isn't to say he's been good. He has not been. He's been about as bad as any quarterback can be through 4 games. But yeah, I guess ultimately, it falls on the head coach and the personnel. But let's also be realistic. This is not a team that was supposed to win in year 1. And rookie quarterbacks are generally pretty bad. They're picking number 1 overall for a reason last year. It's not a good team. It's not a good situation. And it's. I guess the point here is that it's hard to get a fair eval on Cam Ward. Though I think we can rule out the possibility that he is the next great quarterback because that's a guy who can at least show flashes of overcoming a situation. And I don't think he's shown that ability at all.
Yeah. I'll give myself the biggest blame here because I found a way to bet on the Titans twice and a third time this week. So let's see how that ends up for myself. I don't like it at current numbers. Judah, the actual matchup itself, how do you think Arizona's offense matches up? I didn't think they looked too good without James Conner, although Marvin Harrison finally made a play after missing some really bad ones. And then on the other side, do you think Cam Ward might be the game where he actually plays well against a banged up secondary that's bottom 10 in defensive dropback EPA, bottom 5 in dropback success rate, and they don't create much pressure either? They're the bottom 10 in pressure rate. Is this how do you think Arizona's offense matches up against Tennessee's defense? And do you think Cam Ward might actually have maybe his best game as a pro?
I mean, best game as a pro, sure. That's not a very high bar to clear. I think, again, you want to talk about the situation, and maybe this was, an answer to your previous question. It's they're not throwing so much on early downs. They're not putting Cam Ward in situations where it's a lot easier to be successful. And the Arizona Cardinals would probably not be, bottom 10 in a lot of these metrics if they played every game against the Titans. And I think that's kind of a relevant thing to keep in mind. And they're 8.5 point underdogs for a reason. I think that a lot of the game is going to be played with Arizona in a lead, and it's very hard when you're kind of compounding all these factors for Cam Ward to have some success. But yes, all of the reasons you kind of outlined stand and are reasonable arguments to kind of suggest that Ward will have a good game. But he's really been abysmal. And like you can cite any stat you want, it's not really going to change much. I think you kind of need to see it to believe it first, because if you want to talk about credit in kind of this interaction of matchups between offense and defense, I think when you're so far on the left tail, which is the Titans offense right now, it might not even matter the matchup you play against, at least to the degree that is kind of priced into a lot of these markets. And I guess very quickly on the flip side, Tennessee's defense has been, I think, very disappointing. Kyler Murray got the ball out much, much quicker last week. He was hanging around kind of 3 seconds in the previous couple of weeks, and I think that was kind of a conscious choice, scrambling a ton earlier. They kind of cut down on that in 1 week, and I think that's kind of the path to success against the Titans defense that is very vulnerable, and it's bottom of the league in most metrics.
You know what is interesting? Tennessee's a lot like Houston's offense, except they have a far worse quarterback, and their wide receiver one, Calvin Ridley, is nowhere near Nico Collins. So they're a poor man's Houston on offense. I don't know, Judah, did you pick up on Flupp's antsiness? He knows that the next game on the list is the Chargers, and I think Flupp was worried that the line would disappear before he could lock it in as his triple hammer. Let's not all cut in front of each other to lock it in, because we all like this game. Right now, FanDuel's got the LA Chargers -2.5, -120. Total is 48.5, -115 to the under. The market is 3, and FanDuel's dealing -2.5, -120, by far best price in market. Flupp, why are you on the LA Chargers, and why are they your triple hammer in this game?
All right, I'm going to start off with, I do know some injury news. I know Joel is out. I do apologize for that abysmal lack of knowledge from Nick Bosa. Again, that was pretty bad by me. But, this is just – I think the Chargers look really good. I know they lost versus the Giants, but they had a couple fluky, plays. I mean, that interception or pick six from Herbert was pretty, insane. Or not pick six, rather. Sorry. I consider it a pick six because he scored real quickly after. But, that pick from Herbert was, ridiculous. And I just think – the Giants D-line really messed up especially after Joel went down. And I just don't think the Commanders have nearly the same level of pass rush that the Giants have. And I expect Herbert to come out there and be able to actually air it out and exploit it, especially with Greg Roman not wanting to run the ball. He finally started passing with Herbert. I mean, I think he finally realized that, hey, Herbert's a different quarterback than Lamar. And as much as I like Jaden Daniels, you're basically telling me that the Chargers are only a little bit better. The Commanders on neutral. I don't buy that at all. I think the Chargers are sizably better than the Commanders. I want to back them here. And of course, picking off a stale line, best number in market.
That was a lot of words for it was a stale line. No, I liked your analysis there, Flupp. I will forgive you for the Bosa news if you can tell me the pronunciation of the New Orleans backup quarterback right now on the spot.
Tyler Shuck.
Shuck.
I keep saying Shuck. I don't know why. I keep thinking it's
Shuck. It's okay. Judah, why do you like the Chargers this week? Why is it your double hammer?
Yeah, I mean, the Washington secondary is horrific right now. They're second in yards per attempt allowed, and absolutely concerning is this is a pass rush which has been good, and the Chargers are obviously dealing with plenty of defensive injuries themselves, but you add Herbert's kind of newfound ability to scramble. His scramble rate is much, much higher than it's been in years past. Again, scrambling does not always mean crossing the line of scrimmage. It also means kind of rolling out of the pocket and beating the process of a scramble. And that in some ways can mitigate the pass rush. Though obviously if they're winning in 2 seconds, there's only so much you can do. And then on the flip side, I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be 100%. I mean, we saw this last year as he was dealing with injuries. His scramble rate went way down. And he's not the same quarterback without the threat of a run, and certainly not on those late downs, which the Commanders so rely on for their offensive success. I don't think Daniels is the same quarterback. I saw him, I guess, in a kind of uncharacteristic fashion here, playing a little bit of injury news here as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Judah. I think obviously we believe Daniels is going to play, but the assumption that he just missed 2 games and he's back to his old self right away that's not a thing. It will take a bit of a ramp up process. You guys stole the thunder. Washington has a really bad secondary, and you can throw all over this team. And I know Joe Alt is out, but I think the Chargers will scheme up a very good offensive game plan. Jim Harbaugh off a loss. He is coming with it this game. He's going to make sure everyone in the building knows that they lost, and that's unacceptable. That is why the Chargers are, and I also don't think Terry McLaurin's going to play, but I like the Chargers as my triple hammer as well. LA Chargers -2.5, -120. Let's lock it in. The three of us are on the same game.
I was first in the spreadsheet. You can check the timestamps on that one. So I think in uncharacteristic fashion, both Judah and G-Stack were tailing me and chasing my steam. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's relax. Just relax.
I sat there and said, you know what? The whole market has figured out that the Chargers should be 3. But you know what? Flup is on the Chargers, so I felt really that was the one that sealed the deal for me, Flup. I appreciate you getting that play in there to get my mind going. All right, let's move on to the last 3 games. Before we do, though, Circles Off is going to be doing some Q&A episodes in the near future, and they want your questions. Anything regarding betting, it can be strategy, things you're having difficulty with, whatever the case is, we'll strive to answer it. Here's how to get your questions in. Respond in the comments section on this YouTube video. You can tweet it at us or DM us on Twitter. You can email us at circlesoff@thehammer.bet, or you can post it in our new Discord. There's a Circles Off Q&A channel. So if you have any questions for Rob, you want him to answer it on Circles Off, you can do that. Plenty of ways to get your question in. Let's move on to Detroit and Cincinnati. Right now, the market is really making you pay a premium if you want to fade the Bengals right now. Right now, Detroit is -10.5, -104. Total is 48.5, -115 to the over. Listen, I don't get here with this number, and especially when you factor in Detroit's injuries in the secondary. DJ Reed is not going to play. Terrion Arnold may not play as well. But Flup, the market is overpricing Detroit. It's just so they can find some Cincy backers, right?
I think this is a bit extreme because let's look at the scenario. What happened? Jake Browning plays Flores, and then the Broncos defense. 2 of arguably the top 5 defenses in the league. And there's a reason why Browning is a backup and not the starter. He's not a great quarterback. Detroit's defense has looked better, but they're nowhere near both the Vikings or the Broncos defense. So I think we're reading too much into how bad Browning has looked. And when you get to 10.5 at home versus Detroit, I just can't get there. Look, I would play it if I could find some stale number, and I probably will play it at some exchanges if I can get some no big prices here. But I can't in good faith give out a non-stale number. But I think this is ridiculous, overreaction to how bad Jake Browning is. Jake Browning is just not this bad. He looks bad because of the past 2 games, which is a significantly different defense.
Are you, Judah, are you buying into that? Look bad against Minnesota. Game got out of hand. Looks bad on national TV. There's a premium on this. Lions don't have corners, and Chase and Higgins, last time I checked, are still good receivers. How do you think Cincy has a potential to move the ball here and cover the number, or does Dan Campbell, it's the other side? Dan Campbell can kind of get whatever he wants offensively against the Bengals.
Yeah, pains me to agree with Chris here. I think not only are the Lions down a bunch of players in the secondary, they also play a ton of man coverage and a ton of single high, which is going to leave them prone to more so than a team that plays a lot of zone. Kind of the reality of the talent, meaning that better wide receivers are going to beat lesser cornerbacks and vice versa. So, I do think Cincinnati will probably hit on the go balls that they were not able to hit on or were called back for some penalties. So, I do think they'll be able to move the ball. I guess what concerns me on the other side is that the Cincinnati defense can't stop a nosebleed. And this is a Detroit team that can win with plenty of margin and is happy to stay very, very aggressive late into games. So if they find themselves in a pretty positive game state, even if Cincinnati is moving the ball, the Lions can put up 40 points here.
All right, let's move on to the Sunday nighter. Kind of a big matchup, New England at Buffalo. Right now, Buffalo's 8.5 minus 105. Total is 50.5 minus 115 to the under. If you like New England, this is best price in market, plus 8.5 minus 115. Everyone else is at 7.5. There are some sevens out there too, Flup. You're a guy who likes a stale line, but you didn't want to pick off this one. Give us your reasons why.
I mean, this was probably would have been my fourth here. I like betting in this team. Buffalo kind of showed that, like, hey, even versus Saints, our defense is not that good, and Drake May is obviously significantly better than Spencer Rattler there. Yeah, obviously Buffalo's offense is going to give New England trouble, and good luck stopping it. But what is Buffalo's defense going to do versus the Patriots, and are they able to do enough to make this more than a one-score game? I think it's difficult with the steam. I like to play, and if I had four, this would be my fourth.
Judah, Buffalo kind of let Miami and New Orleans hang around. They needed a big comeback against the Ravens. The only team they really smashed badly was the Jets. Drake May, if not for that big 5 turnover game, the Patriots might be 3-1. How are you kind of seeing this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the past couple of weeks have somewhat taught us that this is a Buffalo defense that is not very good, or at least a continuation of kind of the end of last season. What does concern me is that as good as Drake May has been, is taking a ton of sacks. His pressure to sack rate is one of the highest in the NFL, and that's been an area where the Buffalo defense has been terrific, even without Ed Oliver. I mean, Joey Bosa is having some resurgence over there. But yes, I think there's certainly a path where the Patriots stay in this game. Drake May continues to be extremely efficient moving the football, and this is not a very good Buffalo defense. And kind of as Flip said on the other side, I don't see what New England can do that's going to stop Buffalo from kind of scoring themselves.
Yeah, Christian Ellis and Robert Spillane can't cover. They're two of probably the worst inside linebacker duo at covering. So feels like a James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox game. On the other side, Patriots O-line, they probably will want Jared Wilson back because Bills are third in pressure rate, and I wonder how they're going to hold up. Ultimately, no action for me. My numbers say that Buffalo is right at 8.5, but I kind of lean New England. And again, I have these battles internally about numbers versus matchups, so I'm going to stay away. Too much ambiguity there for me. Let's move on to the Monday night. I'm really excited. I'm excited for a Jacksonville Jaguars Monday night game. I don't know how many times I've said that in the last 2 years. Right now at FanDuel, Kansas City's -3, -118. The total is 46.5, shaded -120 to the under. Judah, let's talk about Chiefs big picture and then also talk about this matchup. Is Mahomes back? When Rashee Rice gets back and now that Xavier Worthy's back, are you very optimistic about this offense? And then how do you think it matches up against a pretty good Jaguars defense this week?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of reject the premise of the question that it was ever gone. I still would, if you're ever asked to rank quarterbacks, he would still be my number one. I still have him as number one. I do think you kind of are right to highlight that, Xavier Worthy adds such a dynamic element to this offense. It is a little bit concerning to me, big picture, that they just cannot run the football. And if they could not run the football against Baltimore, I'm not sure, who they'll be able to run against. But with Mahomes, it's totally fine to drop back 40, 45 times. I think they'll still be an efficient offense that way. And Jacksonville, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is good for a couple turnover worthy plays every game. I think this is a Chiefs team. I guess if I had to lean, I would go Chiefs here as probably would be my fourth. And I think this is a Jaguars defense that certainly their pass defense has the benefit of some very high kind of EPA numbers, but I don't think that's really a reflection of the fundamentals here. And a lot of that I think is fairly turnover driven. I'm expecting some regression there.
Yeah, I have taken the Jags 3 out of the first 4 weeks. If it gets to 3.5 -110, I may take a look. I guess the question for me, Flup, is, and I didn't mean Mahomes went anywhere, but Mahomes playing at an MVP passing level game. It looked like for the first time, I obviously put caution because it was the Ravens defense, but man, Mahomes was slinging it again. To me, the question is prime time against Mahomes. If you're actually going to be legit, this is the litmus test for the Jaguars. and their defense. Flop, where do you land on this game?
Well, this is just purely a market take here. If my memory serves me right, Jaguars have been bet at post the last couple weeks. It seems like there's a lot of people that like Jags. So I would be very hesitant to wanting to bet KC. If you wanted to bet KC, it seems to me the best choice is actually probably to do it after that Jags money comes in, either Sunday morning or Saturday night. But of course, you never know when it'll stop, and maybe they don't like it versus KC here. So I would have guessed that this would have steamed towards Jacksonville. I was surprised to see KC take some early money, but I think that you're right. That was just a reflection of Mahomes looks like he's back, especially having Worthy back. I did notice that injury. So yeah.
Hold on, you told me on Spaces when I took the Chiefs in my contest that Worthy wasn't going to be back, and I was a little bit crazy to do so. Flup.
Okay, well, he was back. I mean, like, what do you want from me?
I think the injuries really is like Trayvon Walker and Eric Murray are the ones to watch for the Jags. But if I get a 3.5 minus 110, I might be tempted to get back to the window with Jacksonville. They should be 4-0. They shouldn't have lost against the Bengals week 2, but I digress. That's it for us. We went through all the games, 14-game card, and it's our longest show ever. I blame Flup being late, Judah. I think he threw us off balance again. Listen, tomorrow, Hammer Daily with Jason.
Yeah, we shouldn't trust him with anything.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Listen, thanks to the audience. You've all been wonderful. Do us a favor, smash the like button. We're going to recap the bets in just a second. Share the content if you're enjoying. Jacob, pull up the bets so we can recap for everybody what we went to. Chargers is the play of the day for us. Flup and I have them as our triple hammer -2.5, -120. Judah has them at -2.5, -120 as his double hammer. Judah's triple hammer is Indy -6.5, -115. I've got Houston -1.5, -115 as my double hammer. Flup is undefeated with his double hammers. Rams -5.5, -120, and it's stale. You got to like your odds there. Single hammer, I'm on the Denver Philly under 43.5, -105. Flups on New Orleans -1.5, 110. And Judah's taking an alt, which some people might not like, 6.5 Dallas +176. Listen, thanks to everybody in the audience. You've been great. Thanks to Flup and Judah. I always appreciate you guys taking the time to break down the analysis and spending.
I know the chat comes from my football analysis, definitely not Judah's. They come for Judah's like market takes. I know that's the real reason why people are here.
That's what they say. You know what? Flup, give me analysis. Judah, pick off the stale lines. That and G-Stack, just keep the show on the rails, please. Listen, thanks to Jacob producing. Thanks to the audience, and honestly, good luck with all your bets this weekend.